Commissioner Sherene Hess joins us right now. Our conversation brought to you by Marcus Mack, a law firm representing injured people. Sherene, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here today as we
Thank you.
We discuss this thing. The Sustainable Economic Development Task Force is facilitating this today, and you've got a wide variety of guests offering viewpoints today.
Yes, there are going to be 4 speakers. One is from the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Sean Steffi, National Brotherhood of Boilermakers, and those are folks talking about the effects of the changing in changes in the industry on union labor and the professions. And then we have a representative from the Coal Alliance, Pennsylvania Coal Alliance, and then Sherene Pillar from the Pennsylvania Environmental Entrepreneurs. They'll all be discussing the effects that energy policy is having on consumer demand and technology, on all of those things that are having on our local and our regional workforces.
And it is a profound impact as energy policy always is changing, always is being added to or subtracted from by technology and by developments with the various climate interests and job interests. And so the fact that there are so many different perspectives coming today is really, really interesting to me. And so as we enter into this and give people the opportunity to participate, I'm assuming people can participate and ask questions?
Yes, it's going to be done live at noon, but it will be recorded, so the recording will be available later, but people will have an opportunity to ask questions either live or through the chat feature, which is, the thing that you can do on Zoom. And we're encouraging it because we really want people to get educated about this and to understand the forces that are working here. We've got global forces here, and climate change is a big topic, and what effects those these policy things will have on our local workforce. And then we have the whole the state is Governor Wolf's proposal for the regional greenhouse gas initiative is generating a lot of conversation about how that's going to affect our coal-fired power plants here in our region. I mean, Indiana County has 3 of them. It's a huge source of work for us, and also a lot of ancillary businesses that depend on those industries to be employing people. But there's a lot of talk, the health impacts, the workforce impacts, all of those things are very important, and they all affect each other. So this will be a very interesting session because you're going to hear from basically both sides, all sides.
It really is a delicate balance being played out right now, isn't it, between the jobs and the economic forces here in Indiana County especially, but across the Commonwealth as well, and the other concerns, the environmental concerns, and the whole idea of tax bases, and all of this comes together to create quite the quandary for our region especially, but Indiana County in particular.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a lot of fossil fuel subsidies, and the coal industry is, suffering declines just from, market trends, not really government mandates, but there's been a decline in coal. But then, our gas and oil industry has been very important to Indiana County. These are all things that are changing, and a lot of them, a lot of these things are very difficult to control from a local perspective, but yet it is going to affect Indiana County in a big way. So we really need to be part of the conversation, and I think that's part of this session is to help regular folks understand that there are going to be impacts on working conditions, wages, job opportunities, both good. There's going to be a decrease in some industries and an increase in others, and you'll hear about that. But, the main thing is how can we as a region be resilient in our workforce and in our economic situation with all these things happening around us. There's quality of life issues. There's certainly economic impacts. It's very important for us all to try to understand how this is going to affect us.
You used an interesting phrase. You said, enter into the conversation. Or something along those lines. That's really what Indiana County Sustainable Economic Development Task Force was designed to do, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. I mean, it started, 4 years ago is when we really started to talk in earnest about it. And these were a number of community-based groups talking with our business community, our educational institutions, our healthcare institutions, and just people who really care about the future of our county and our workforce and our, the people that live here. I mean, I always talk about how this is the region that built this country. Really, when you think about it, with our resources and our workforce, and on the backs of our men and women who just worked sometimes to their deaths and providing these resources to build our country. But what our Sustainable Task Force is all about is really gathering everybody's voices so that everybody feels a part of the conversation from the bottom up. This was never a top-down kind of approach. This was very participatory. We really searched out people's opinions and their willingness to learn about what it was going to mean for agriculture and renewable resources, and how to build with using sustainable methods, and then just our reliance for our tourism industry on our environment, and making sure that we have clean water so that we can canoe, and not to mention drinking water sources, is cleaning up those abandoned mine drainage issues. But there's just so many things, and they're all interrelated. And I think that was one of the main things we wanted to try to talk about too, is we're all in this together. All of these issues are interrelated, and we can use natural resources and the way nature works to help us create new jobs, and in the tourism industry and renewable energy. And one of the things as elected officials that we try to do is work on the issues of today, but also think about the future. So we do need to think about what's happening today with our workforce and the energy industry. It's so important to our region. But we also need to think about how we're going to be resilient in the face of all of the changes that are happening, and they are happening.
The economic angle of it all is intriguing because that's not an angle that is generally pursued as vigorously as it should be, and Indiana County is doing that with the Sustainable Economic Development Task Force. Is it modeled, the task force, after any other groups, or is this sort of a pioneering, lead-the-way type of effort?
Well, it is unique. I think it's unique in that, really it came to the commissioners 4 years ago, and the former board said, we're interested in this. These are all topics: workforce, economic development, citizen engagement. These are all things that are important to us as elected officials. That's something super new, but in a way that it came to us from a consortium of groups who really were interested in trying to, not be an echo chamber, to use the jargon of today, but to really reach out beyond those borders to get the information, the real information that's out there, not the biased or things that might be in the self-interest, but to hear all sides of the discussion, knowing that these changes are happening in our world with energy and with workforce and so on. We knew we needed to be thoughtful, and we needed to have we needed to have the ideas from everybody in the community. You can't. A strong community is one that hears everyone's voices. So it was very intriguing to us, and we had the Center for Community Affairs, and we had the League of Women Voters and the Evergreen Conservancy, and then eventually we got in, university, the Sustainability Studies at IUP was a founding member, and we're grateful for all those sort of that core group. But then we pulled in our Chamber of Commerce to tell us about what these things mean economically. Our departments, all the agencies involved with agriculture. Agriculture is a leading industry in Indiana County and in the state. And we wanted to know what's going on in agriculture. And you talk about sustainable agriculture, there's a lot happening there. And, this series that we're having with the Sustainability Task Force now, there's one that's focused on agriculture, one that's on renewable resources in the energy industry like today's, and on how to build, and then about, like I said, our environmental situation and how that affects tourism and quality of life and health and so on. So as an organization that really looks at a lot of moving parts and tries to bring them all together into how we can make this how we can use this to create jobs and to build certain kind of a resiliency. We're in a rural area, and sometimes it's really hard to do economic development, and this is just one more way of doing it.
Yeah, there's always a better participation or a better way of handling things in one aspect or another, and certainly we'd love to have everybody face-to-face. I'm assuming everybody's going to be virtual today, the panelists and everybody else.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's, when it gets right down to it, that's actually an advantage because you can have people participate who don't have to travel and get here for it. And so you can get different voices involved in this conversation that might not be able to participate. And that includes for people from the public.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It does present that unique opportunity. But I'll tell you, this is our fourth Sustainability Summit, and our first three were in person, and they were attended, really well. And it is very exciting. You get a certain amount of energy and spark from seeing people and, seeing that those facial expressions and talking and, when you use your hands and all of those things that you get in person are wonderful. Not to mention a good lunch, from the Rustic Lodge that we always had. And, we always appreciate those kinds of things to be together. But in lieu of that, for what we have to do now, this is a really great opportunity for anybody. And, the great thing about it is you don't have to ask any questions. You can just listen to it and learn. And if you have questions later on, we're always available. By every means that you can think of, we're always happy to talk to people more and loop you in. If there's someone out there that wants to get involved in these things, we will loop you in gladly.
She is Indiana County Commissioner Sherene Hess with us this morning. The Indiana County Sustainable Economic Development Task Force Facebook page. That's where you need to go if you want to go to this event at noon today. Sherene, thank you so much for visiting with us.
Well, thank you very much.
Have a great day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160 and AM 1160.